A peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the EntreMusician, and so are you. And on this episode, we welcome hometown heroine, the incomparable Sharon Rae North, singer, songwriter, national recording artist with 4 critically acclaimed albums to her credit, and she is also the author of 2 wonderful books. She has toured internationally. She's opened for Patti LaBelle, Bob James, Joe Sample. Shall I go on? Many, many more. Working with top producers like Chris Big Dog Davis, Paul Brown, and our friend Derwin Daniels, whom we've just featured here on the EntreMusician. But with all of those accolades, most importantly, she's from right here in Youngstown, Ohio, showing us all how it's done and representing us very well on the world stage. Sister Sharon, blessings to you. Welcome to the EntreMusician.
Thank you so much, and blessings to you as well.
Thank you. It's so good to talk to you again after, 150 years maybe.
Yeah, about that. Okay.
You've been blowing it up, quite busy. We know that we had the little pandemic and you had to, take a pause, but you got right back on point.
I'm trying,
No,
you
you're not trying. I'm cutting you off right there. You're not trying. I've seen trying before. You are actually doing your thing.
it's a grind though, it's you gotta be ready to grind it out.
Absolutely.
It's not an easy industry. It's not a friendly industry. It'll chew you up and spit you out,
That's true.
so yeah, and it happens to a lot of people. I mean, it happened to me before, so you just have to be ready to be in it for the long haul. If it's what you want to do, you have to just do it. Just suck it up and keep moving when things happen.
That's right. Well, now it seemed like, singing has always been in your blood, it's your DNA, but you seem to be on a different track. You were more in broadcasting when you were here in Y-Town. But something
Yeah.
something clicked, right?
Well, I was always a singer. I was
Mm-hmm.
born a singer. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
In your
God gives
DNA.
everybody talent. Doesn't leave anybody out. God gives everybody something. That's what He gave me.
Yeah.
Um, Other things that being a reporter, being a public information manager, being those things. Those are things that I do. But a singer is what I am, and
Mm.
no matter what else I may do, the singer is always there because that's part of my being.
Yes.
So I have to do it for
Love
as
it.
long as I can. Mhm.
Love it. But now it turned from just being something that you did because it's who you are until into this is my career and I'm not doing the broadcast gig anymore. Right?
Well, I stopped doing broadcast and then I switched to the other side. A lot of times when reporters stop being reporters, they get into public relations, public information, corporate communications, that type of stuff. So I just switched to the other side of communications. And I still do that.
On the other side.
People laugh, it's like you still work a full-time job and you do all this singing and these shows and albums. Um, those those gigs,
Mm-hmm.
that daytime gig
Yeah.
enables
Yeah.
me to do the other gig
Certainly.
because as an independent artist, somebody has to pay for these albums and stuff,
That's right.
So that's what that does. And being the singer and the artist enables me to do those jobs because as long as I'm able to do that, everything else is so much easier.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Now, singing aside, what do you find most rewarding about your music career? Is it the people you work with? Is it the performances? What do you get the most joy out of?
Singing
Just the singing.
and primarily singing on stage. I love
Mm.
live performance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the studio makes me nervous. You know, I'm
Interesting.
I'm I'm never fully comfortable in the studio. And it's always like, okay, let me do that again. Okay, let me get back in. I want to try that one again.
Right.
Let me go after that one more time. You don't have that on stage. What comes out comes out.
Right.
You're not out there. It's like, oops, my voice cracked, or oops, I didn't hit that note. You just have to keep going. And I love doing that and interacting with the audience
Mhm.
and knowing that as much as I would love every single performance to be absolutely perfect,
Right.
probably none of them are. you know
It's
there
true.
are some that you're always like, oh man, killed it tonight. But even killed it tonight, there was something that didn't quite go the way you wanted it to.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just inevitable. I mean, it's live performance, so something is gonna happen always.
Hmm. Now,
Hmm.
having toured internationally, though, do you find a different response or a different, even in the way that you present when you're overseas as to here in the States?
Yeah, I think so, because one, you're kind of an anomaly. When you're on a stage in France and the majority of the people there don't even speak English, but yet they can relate to the music and the singing and stuff. It's a different type of vibe. And I like to, I mean, I'm fluent in English,
Yeah.
but I always get a kick of like, that was walking out on stage and saying bonsoir, and
Yeah.
stuff. And they just love it. They love it, so and it's fun,
Yeah.
it's it's always different to be overseas and to be someplace that is so different from where you come from.
Hmm.
The language, the food, the reception to your music and to your performances and stuff. It's just everything is just different, and it's not that it's better. It's just that it's different. And
Yeah.
it's fun. Mhm.
Well, I'm so grateful that you are living your dream. Most of us in Youngstown, and we'll talk about growing up in Youngstown, but most of us in Youngstown, there seems to be this glass ceiling that we put over ourselves at times, where you don't think that you can really live the life that you're destined to live. And I'm so grateful that you're out there doing it, that you just said, okay, there's no boundaries. I'm hitting it and I'm making it happen. That's so
Well,
beautiful.
it's I think with me, I've always been one of those people who said there's 50 million professions out here. Why do I have to just pick one and stay with it my entire life? I mean, I can
Yeah.
try anything I want to try, and certainly as you get older, there are some things that you will never be able to do. I will never be a ballerina.
Hmm.
Those days are gone.
Hmm.
But there are a lot of other things that I can be
Yes.
that I'm interested in. I think if I'm interested in something, I might as well try it. Maybe I'll be good at it, maybe I won't be good at it, but at least I can say I tried it. I am a person who I just admire tremendously for going after it is my niece.
Mm.
And she is in her mid 30s now. And from the time that she was a little girl, she said, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. And she is now a breast cancer surgeon.
Wow.
That's what she wanted to be.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of desire,
Hmm.
because you can desire anything. I can
That's true.
desire to have $1 billion.
Right.
But if I'm not doing anything to try to get $1 billion, it's not going to happen.
That's right.
It's your discipline
That's
that
good.
determines what's going to happen with you. You have to have just tremendous amounts of discipline.
Hmm.
And when everybody is out partying, your discipline makes you say, I have to study, or I have to
Absolutely.
rehearse. Like you have to
Absolutely.
have it, or it's not going to work. And that's not to say that you can't have fun and you can't do things, but that discipline has to always come back. It has to kick in, or
That's
you'll
right.
never be able to get what you want.
You're preaching now. That's real good. That's real good. Now you said earlier that you get nervous in the studio, but I'm telling you what, working with producers like Chris Davis or Paul Brown, I'm sure they set an atmosphere for you with their with the things that they've accomplished that really help to set you on point because man, this silhouette is like kicking. So
They do, but I think that's probably why I'm nervous. You have Paul Brown, two-time Grammy winner, has
that's right.
produced everybody. I mean,
Everyone.
everybody has had over 70 number one hits,
Yeah.
you know, and then there's me working with him. And then Big Dog Davis, who produces everybody
Correct.
and Grammy nominated. And, you have these people and you know who they are and you
Yeah.
know what they've done. And I mean, it just makes me a nervous wreck. On Silhouette, I even produced vocals on a couple of my songs because I told um, Big Dog, well, I usually call him Chris.
Yeah.
I told Chris, I'm like, you just make me so nervous. And this was Zoom. We were doing it on Zoom because of COVID. And even just having him on Zoom, I was just a nervous wreck. And he's so nice. And he's like, Miss North, because he always calls me Miss North. He never says my name,
Mhm.
Miss North. Why would you be nervous? I don't do anything to make you nervous. And I'm like, well, it's not that you do anything to make me nervous, but you do.
Just your presence. Your presence makes me nervous. But I tell you
Just
what, the final product is fire. I mean, God bless you. It's fire, really. So,
I can't be mad at that
no.
album. And I mean, I really am pleased with it because I did pretty much all 10 songs, or
Mhm.
at least nine of them, with a vocal cord injury.
That's right.
And
You had posted that.
yeah, yeah, so to be able to finish it, and it was not easy. I mean, I was working with three otolaryngologists, um, two vocal therapists and vocal coaches, and the amount of therapy I was doing because vocal therapy is just like physical therapy, only it's for your voice and for
Mm.
your throat. And I mean, I would be sitting on the edge of my bed at 6 o'clock in the morning doing vocal exercises and doing straw therapies and stuff. And sometimes I'd be at work and I would go in my boss's office where it was quiet and I'd be having virtual sessions with the vocal therapist.
Wow.
So and they were fine. I mean, everybody, I cannot and I will not work at a place that does not understand
Mm.
what else I do. So when I told them what was going on, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you can use my office," or you know, I'm like, "Okay, I can even use one of the conference rooms, but when I have to do my therapy, I have to do my therapy." And no one had a problem with it, and it's been like that on pretty much every job I've had since I started singing professionally. I had one director that I worked for. I mean, he'd be out selling tickets,
Oh, wow.
to shows and stuff. So everybody's been super understanding, everywhere I've worked, and I couldn't be more grateful because some places would not understand,
That's true. That's true. Well,
and they would make you decide either you want this or you want that.
that's a dream
Yes.
job that you've blessed to be able to have. That's right
Mhm.
on point. Now tell me, or I should say, tell us this because I know the feeling a little bit, but what was it like the first time that you saw your song not only chart Billboard but like remain there? What was it like 11 weeks?
Right. Lonely Nights it peaked at 15 and it was on for 11 weeks.
What's
And,
that? Tell us about that.
you know, I work with a radio promoter,
Hmm.
um, Gorov Music Marketing from out of Henderson, Nevada.
Yeah,
And
Jason.
they were, yeah, with
Hmm.
Jason and Cliff. And, you know, they work with so many people and they're pushing so many people's music. Um, these huge name people, you know. And when Lonely Nights came out, it was funny because we had sent out the EP to a lot of stations, and the Wave in Cleveland at the time, you know, they've since changed format,
Sure.
but the Wave actually broke Lonely Nights.
Wow.
And they were a Billboard charting station, and they
Hmm.
were like the powerhouse Billboard charting station. If the Wave in Cleveland was playing your music, then the other Billboard charting stations were going to grab it too.
Hmm.
So Jason called me. He was like, Sharon, he's like, the Wave has started playing Lonely Nights. He was like, so let's make that the next single. That wasn't planned for that to be the next single,
Ah,
but we made the next single. And after a few weeks, I mean, it came out strong. It was on like the most added, you know, and then it just started climbing. And once it actually made it to the chart,
yeah.
I thought, it'll be on there this week and then it'll
Mm.
be done. Then it was
Mhm.
2 weeks, and then it was 5 weeks, and then I'm like, whoa. And it kept climbing. And when it hit 11 weeks, I was like, this is ridiculous. Who would have thought? You know, so I was really, really happy about that. And now I've had 3 songs on the Billboard chart.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that whole EP, Sincerely Yours, it made the first ballot in I think the 59th annual Grammy Awards.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and you know, there's only 2 ballots. The second ballot is when you hear, and the nominees are,
Right.
you know, so to at least make it on the first one and see my name right in there with Renee Marie, Gregory Porter, and all these people. And I was like, wow, is this really even happening? My name is there. So even though I did not actually get a nomination or make that second ballot,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
knowing that I got to the first one was just, it was powerful.
That's
So
beautiful. That's
it,
absolutely
yeah, it
beautiful.
was. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, with respect to these wonderful books, this latest one, Fantastically, I'm going to mess that up. I'm sure. Fantastically, Francis,
Fantastic, Francis.
for
Yes.
your mom. And but the
Mhm.
first book was a children's book in memory of your dad too. So, would
Right.
you tell us a little bit about that work?
Sure. The first book was My Brand New Leg, and it was dedicated to my dad, Dennis North. Everybody knew him as Buck.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last year of his life, he lost both of his legs to diabetes. And when he still had one leg, a little girl asked him, what happened to your leg? Her grandmother was at the hospital. I guess maybe they were visiting somebody, and she looked in and she saw my mom sitting in there. So she came in and talked to her.
Mm-hmm.
Little girl was probably no more than maybe 8 or 9 years old. And I'm sitting there, and my dad's bed was up kind of high. And she saw that one of his legs was missing. He still had the other one.
Yes, ma'am.
And I saw her just looking and looking. And I thought to myself, she wants to say something so bad. But, you know, as adults, we teach kids,
Yeah.
don't look, don't stare, don't ask, don't. But the fact is that people who have disabilities, they don't mind talking about it. No, they don't want to be laughed at and teased and ridiculed, but they don't mind talking about it.
So.
So I just sat back, and she kept looking over at her grandmother. Her grandmother's back was to her because she was talking to my mom. And I knew she thought, I'm going to get in so much trouble if I say something, but it got the best of her.
Yes,
Finally,
ma'am.
she said, what happened to your leg? And my dad said, well, I got sick and they had to take it off. And she's like, did it hurt? He's like, no, not too bad. By the time they finished talking, she was holding on to that bed rail, and she
Wow.
was like eye level with his stump. And I thought to myself, now that was like the coolest experience for her.
Yeah.
And this will probably be a kid who never teases anybody or something, because now she's had a conversation. She
Correct.
has a better understanding. And after my dad passed, I was sitting on my couch one day, just sad and crying. It was a few months later.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm going to write a book. And I wrote My Brand New Leg. And it's kind of Dr. Seuss-ish. You know,
Understood.
it's all rhyming and everything. And it's about only, instead of it being about my dad and the little girl, it's about two little girls at school.
Mm.
And one wears a prosthesis and the other one has never seen that before. And she's asking her, you know, about all the things that she can do. And she's showing her throughout the book that she can do everything the other kids can.
Wow. That's
And it
powerful.
went global. That book was everywhere. Oh my gosh. I see reviews of it and I'd be like, I hope it's something good because I don't even know what language they did. You know? So it did really well. And I had a company called Ohio Willowwood. I think they've changed their name at this point. But they sponsored that book and paid for me to publish it. And I had
Wow.
endorsements from the Amputee Coalition of America. It was just wonderful. I mean, it took off. It was in Borders bookstores, Barnes and Noble,
Yeah.
and it's been almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
somebody asked me, "How did you get your book in bookstores?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like, that was God and my dad's spirit
Mm.
driving thing because there were things happening that I don't even know how they happened. And I'm
My
like,
goodness.
they helped work that and make that happen. And people still buy it all these years later. They order it from me now because I don't think it's in any bookstores anymore after all these years.
That's
But they will go to my website and order books. It's I'm like, wow, all these years and it still sells.
that's
Now,
great.
Fantastically Francis,
Hmm.
that's the new book. It's been out just a few weeks, and I love the book. Basically, all it is it's called, the full title is Fantastically Francis: The Sayings and Snarks of My Mama, the Senior. And it's been in the works for about 4 years. And it all started because I would post things that she says sometimes on Facebook.
Mm.
And people would just be cracking up laughing, LOL, LOL. And then they started asking about her. Did your mother say anything good? Did you watch the award show last night? What'd you think of such and such's outfit? And I'm like, okay, this is like taking on a life of its own. And then one day a guy direct messaged me and he said, tell your mother we love her over here in Ethiopia. And I'm
Mm.
like, what?
Wow.
You know, so I mean, people just clamoring to find out what she was saying. So once Facebook started doing Facebook memories, because you know they didn't always do that.
That's true.
I started, you know, and every day you get your Facebook memories. So I started going through them and pulling things that she said, and you know, me and my sister talking about stuff that she would say to us when we were younger,
Right.
and even as we've been older. And I just started putting it in a book. So my mom is no joke. She
Mm-hmm.
never was. You know, she had kind of a hard life.
Mm.
You know, her mom, she was the youngest of 14 kids. Her mom
Wow.
died when she was 6 years old. Her dad when she was 17. And the youngest seven of them were still home when her mom died. And their
Mm.
dad worked in one of the steel mills here, and they got kind of shuffled around because he was busy, you know, at
Mhm.
work, and he couldn't raise them, you know, little kids and stuff. And her life was kind of hard, you know, so
Yes,
she
ma'am.
was always a no nonsense mother. And but at the same time she was funny. And some of the stuff that she would say to us, like when we got to be teenagers, and you know, teenagers, snarky, smart mouth, rolling
Right.
your eyes, and she would walk right up into our face, like nose to nose almost, and she would say, "You want to hit me, don't you?
Mm.
I dare you." And even if we might have been thinking, "Yeah, I could probably take mom because you know you're mad," when she said that, you now it's like, "No, mom, mm-mm." You know, so
Yeah.
and you know, so we didn't understand it then, but we understood it when we got older,
Of course.
that she was absolutely under no circumstances going to relinquish control of her household to her children.
Right.
That was
Right.
not, and she was not going to let us run over her.
That's
That was
right.
not going to happen because kids do that. You
Yeah.
know, some
Yeah.
people are scared of their kids. Their
Yeah.
kids hit them and everything. Man, my mother would. we wouldn't be
Yeah.
talking right now,
Yeah.
Jerry,
Yeah. I
if
know.
I'd ever lifted a hand to my mother. She would, I'm no doubt in my mind, she
No
probably
doubt.
would have killed me,
No doubt.
or rendered me, incapacitated for the
Right.
rest of my life. She would have done something, but so that's what the book is about. And at the beginning, I put in there, because it's got the cute illustration on the front, and I put in there, be advised, this is not a children's book. And yeah, I'm like, there's profanity, and there
Yeah.
are
It's your
conversations
mom.
some people may find offensive.
Hmm.
So I wanted people to know this book,
It's not for the
there's
weak.
that. Yeah, and then there's stuff in there where she'll say, um, what goes against the Bible goes against the Bible. I
Mm,
don't think God changed his mind.
that's correct.
So there's stuff in there like that. You can't make no false promises to God,
That's right.
Yeah, so she's got that in there, and then she's cussing, so
So now, did she work? She worked on the book with you. I mean, this was something that you did. No.
I
Oh.
started writing the book. Now, last year, as it was getting close to being finished, my sister knew about it and one of my cousins. And
Okay.
my sister said, "You better tell Mom." I'm like, "You think I should tell her?" She was like, "You better tell Mom about this book." So
She's
one
gonna get
day,
close like that.
right. So I said, "Mom, I started writing this book, about you, things that you say." And I read her a couple of the entries, and she 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 just kind of laughed,
Mhm.
but she had no idea that it had gotten as far as it had until the company sent me the print proof,
Uh-huh.
which is the book, but it's not bound.
Gotcha.
So you can go through the pages. And I thought, oh, this just got real.
Mhm.
So I said, "Mom, remember I told you I was writing that book?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Here it is." And she was like, "Oh," she was like, "It's almost done." I'm like, "Yeah, it is almost finished." So um, she she said, "Can I read it?" And I said, "Yeah." So she sat down and she started reading it. And then she said, "I never thought that I'd be reading a book about me."
Mm.
So I'm like, "Yeah, it's about you." And
Wow.
then when it shipped, because we kept doing edits and stuff. Even after I got the print proof, there were things I changed.
Yeah.
And when I finally said, "Okay, enough, I'm done. I'm not changing anything else," and they sent it to me, the boxes came, and we have sold in just a few weeks. We had sold over 100,
Wow.
and it was only on my Facebook page at that
Wow.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my mother, of course, I autographed every last one of them, and she did too.
Oh.
And I thought at some point that she'd be tired of it, and she's like, I don't want to art. I'm done. I'm not signing any more books. But she just kept right on signing. And
Wow.
sometimes I would sign and I would just leave tons of them out on the table. I see her behind me now coming
Yeah.
in.
She's making a perfect entrance, right?
Yeah, I would leave tons of them out on the table. And when I would get home from work and I looked and I was like, "I bet Ma didn't sign any of these books, and I got to mail these books." And I would look, and she had signed every one of them.
Wow.
And I mean, this went on for weeks and weeks, and so it turned out really good.
My goodness. Well, God
Yeah,
bless
and
her.
mhm.
God bless her. That's excellent. So, does she want to say anything on this interview, you think? Because she's in the room. She could say whatever she wants.
Where'd you go? Hey, Mom, I'm doing an interview. Do you have anything to say or about the book or about anything?
This is an exclusive.
She says, "Like what?"
Like, well, that's beautiful. That what an incredible story, and how ideas concerning your parents has really just changed the paradigm for you, because you're not just a singer. You're such a creative, and you can take those ideas that just are downloaded into your spirit and allow them to prosper, not only for yourself, but to help us, to help your fan base, to help those in Ethiopia whom you won't meet in person, to come and say, wow, you've touched my spirit in some way. Because we're all humans, and there's these connect points that we have. I heard a little bit of my mom in what you were saying about your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's because of the community of Youngstown, Ohio, or the steel mills, or how we were raised, or whatnot. It's just those
Big.
dynamics that draw us together. By the
Yeah.
way, that leads me to my next question that I'm very curious about. Life in Youngstown for you. Now, we went to different high schools, so I'm not going to name yours. You can shout it out if you want to. I'll never say it, but YSU. But
Oh,
why?
okay.
I
I
mean,
didn't know
that's for
say
you.
that.
I'm South High Warriors, so you can shout out your school if you want.
I
That's
went
fine.
to Moody, Cardinal Moody.
Hmm. Hello, everybody. Although we were right down the street, the schools were right
Right
down the
down the
street.
street. Yeah.
But just what are your fondest memories of growing up in Youngstown and then coming back, as, nobody's going to brown nose you or anything, but just, you've accomplished, you really have, led your dream and led your life the way God had intended. And you're taking advantage of those blessings. So what was it like? What did you cherish? And what does it feel like to come home?
I think that for the most part, oh, Jerry, I'm getting a low battery light. Let me plug in here.
Okay.
I think, growing up here, um, some of my fondest memories are just growing up and being on St. Louis Avenue with friends and people like Lori Shells and Shelley Martin, who is now a mayor in Douglasville, Georgia, and just the friendships. And Kim Cashwell was down the street, and we're still in touch all the time because our mothers were best friends since they were 11 years old.
Yeah.
And just being around friends. And I went to St. Pat's too for 8 years. I always went to parochial school, and the friends from there, and a lot of them I'm still in touch with. And especially, with Facebook and stuff, you're able to be in touch. A lot of them have ordered my books and CDs,
Yeah.
and just those friendships, lifelong friendships. Lori Shells has come to performances and stuff. So that's one of the fondest memories. Is it's just that,
Yeah.
and that those people are still a part of my life. It's
Hmm.
great.
So how long has it been since you've been home and you come home today? And there's some performances that you have as well as around the East Coast and whatnot. What did you feel? Did you?
Wow. I hadn't been in Youngstown since 2018.
Mhm.
And then it was like 24 hours. We came in for a funeral, my cousin. So we didn't really spend any time here. We were just here, and we were out. Now there have been times when I've done shows like at Blue Jazz in Akron
Right.
or
Right.
Nighttown when
In
in
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way back through, we would stop at relatives' house and visit and everything. But even that's been few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So to be back and see some of the things that are different now, and to be here at the DoubleTree downtown, and
Right.
restaurants up and down Federal Street and stuff, it's nice to see that um, they're trying to do more with the city. The amphitheater,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and the Covelli Center I know has been around for a minute, but it wasn't here when I was here.
Right. Right.
And to be able to perform at the amphitheater and stuff, it's just great.
It
It's
is.
great. And the
Yeah.
reception for me being home, phenomenal. Write-ups
Yeah.
in newspapers, interviews, and Stan Boney doing a story, you know,
Exactly.
on 33, which is where I got my start as a
Mm-hmm.
TV reporter.
Correct.
So it just kind of comes full circle, and working with local musicians who
Yeah.
are from here.
Yeah.
I knew that was something that I wanted to do when I
Mm-hmm.
was offered a show here. People are like, "Are
Yes.
you going to bring your band? You're going to bring guys?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to work with local musicians." So
God
yeah.
bless you. That's
Mhm.
absolutely excellent. Absolutely. I'm so grateful that you took the opportunity to sit down. I know it's been a grueling day for you and you have a very, very busy schedule on point. But thank you so much for giving us your time, giving us your heart. And we wish you nothing but the absolute best. I don't know what's next, a cookbook. I don't know, whatever you
That's
have.
not going to.
I'm sure you're going to surprise us with something, and we'll be on Facebook, and we'll go. Well, of course, you know, you are
I already
simply
have another one
wonderful.
in the works. I have one in the works. I just don't know. I'm working on the storyline for it. So I'll see how long that takes.
Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, you
Mhm.
have so many people here who love you, who admire you
Mhm.
from afar, but who are grateful to know you win and then go. She's just Sharon. She's our Sharon. So you haven't changed in that regard.
No,
Your
not at
spirit is
all.
still the same. So thank
Not
you.
at all.
Well, peace and blessings to you, my dear sister, and we will
The
see
same.
you and talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Blessings to you. I knew you were going to enjoy this conversation. That's Sharon Rae North. What I would like you to do is go to her website, buy her music, buy her books. Let her know how much, after you've read them, of course, and after you've listened, but let her know how much she's touched your life. She is absolutely golden. She's an EntreMusician. My name is Jerry B. I'm an EntreMusician, but most importantly, so are you. We will see you next time.